everyone. Welcome to our new online hangout space. Hashtag chat up. Real talk, real impact. I'm your host, Germaine de Ruña, and you will be seeing me here on Chat Up every month as we take on some of the trending issues talked about on social media and other current events. Because here on Chat Up, we take on conversations no matter how difficult or complex, and we ask ourselves, what can we do about it? Here, we do real talk, real impact. And also, amid the cancel culture happening around us, this program is offering you a safe space where we encourage you to chat up and not shut up. Let's engage and keep our conversations enlightening, enriching, and even thought provoking. So, feel free to comment on our live stream, send your questions, share your opinions, and join us in this online program brought to you by Quarantalk Media and supported by the United States Embassy in the Philippines. Let's also invite our friends, family, colleagues, and even that special someone, if you have one, to listen in and join our chat. Share this live stream and use our official hashtags, hashtag chat up and hashtag real talk, real impact. And by now, you may be wondering, so Maine, what are we going to talk about tonight? Well, let's find out what's up. Did you know that earlier this week, last September 15th specifically, we celebrated the International Day of Democracy? And in just a few days, on September 21st, we will be celebrating the International Day of Peace. Let us take this time to explore what it means to champion peace and democracy, especially in this time of a pandemic and also considering our context here in the Philippines. Do we have real peace? Do we have true democracy? Big questions, right? Let me know what you think. Type in your answers in our comment sections below. Do you think we have real peace and true democracy in our country? And when we talk about democracy, it is essential to also talk about its foundations, such as freedom of expression and freedom of the press. Amid the pandemic, the United Nations has acknowledged that COVID-19 has exacerbated some of the concerns that many countries have, which include aggressive cyber policing, cyber surveillance, postponement of elections, and the crackdown on freedom of expression and the shrinking of civic space. Sounds familiar? We're going to talk about those things today. And also, as we observe the International Day of Peace, we are also called on to think about how to help everyone recover better and build a resilient, equitable, and sustainable world. How will we do that? Well, let's find out together. Joining us in this conversation are some of the practitioners in the field of journalism and advocates for human rights, among others. Let's call them in, starting with the news anchor and reporter for DZRH Manila Broadcasting Company, Karen O. Yong. Next up, hi Karen.
Hi, May.
Hi. Next up, we have an academician and former assistant vice president for the academic services of the Far Eastern University and also a PhD student in the University of Auckland. We have with us Joven Castro. Okay, hi Joven. Thanks for joining us.
Good evening. Thank you.
Good evening. And also joining us for tonight is Rappler's multimedia journalist Camille Elemia. Hi, Camille.
Hi, good evening. Thanks for having me.
All right, so welcome to the show, everyone. We're so glad that you can join us tonight in this beautiful Friday evening. And I'm excited to chat with you guys and talk about how to champion peace and democracy, specifically in our times today. And to our viewers, feel free to join our conversation via the comment section. We will definitely take time to read your messages and questions if you have any. All right, I'm so excited to begin this conversation. So I'm going to ask you a very, very basic question. How would you define democracy? What is your basic definition of democracy? Maybe let's start with Camille.
For me, like democracy, I think talaga freedom of speech is the cornerstone of democracy. It's like democracy right now. I mean, ideally, the Can you hear me? Ideally, sa Philippines, di ba, democracy tayo. Pero as we're seeing now, parang meron lang tayong veneer of democracy, and that yun yung system of government, parang system of governance natin, parang related to democracy. Pero ang totoo, we all know, the problem.
Right, right. Okay, maybe you can take out your your AirPods.
Better na ba?
Yeah, yeah, better. There you
Okay,
go.
better.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, sorry. So, ayun nga, as I
It's
was
fine.
saying, parang ngayon, alam naman natin for the longest time, I think like sa mga ka-generation natin, we grew up na parang yung na democratic space, na democracy yung Pilipinas. Pero what's happening now is that nagiging veneer na lang siya kasi we all know na parang hindi lang naman yung structure ng government, hindi lang naman yung nasa constitution yung nagpapa-democracy sa isang bansa. Nagkakaroon ng democracy ang isang bansa. It's more about the processes, kung meron talagang checks and balance, kung meron talagang independence ang bawat isang branch of government. So in that case, I think wala tayong totoong democracy now, but I think it's never too late to take it back. So makikita natin yan sa election. Hopefully, sana naman. Pero yun ang masasabi ko sa estado ng ating democracy ngayon.
Democracy. All right. So it's just a facade, no? We really need to do something
Correct.
about it. Maybe, Joven, do you have a rejoinder to that, or you have anything to add to what Camille said?
Yeah, I think for me, democracy is the rule of law and smooth transition of power. Without that, and to have smooth transition of power, we need people forging that. So there should be civic participation. Pero yung civic participation ngayon, medyo questionable siya kasi pwede siyang manufactured, pwede siyang kunwa-kunwari.
Right. Okay. Yun.
Actually, totoo nga, just to add to that.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
totoo nga yun, especially sa nakikita natin ngayon with social media, not just Facebook, it's just so happens na Facebook ang number one na talagang most widely used na platform dito. Pero yun nga, tama yung sinabi ni Joven, na parang hindi mo na alam kung anong totoo at hindi. Na parang bukod sa yung structure mismo, convoluted na parang democracy ba talaga o hindi. Pero ang mas malalim na problema, yung truth, yung foundation ng democracy, yun na yung malabo. So ano na ba talaga? Yun yung kailangan nating labanan.
It's very convoluted. Ang ganda, I really like what Joven said, no? Civic participation, which is now very questionable now, no? Because given the other things that has been happening in the country, which is limiting the civic participation and the civic space. Maybe Karen can add to that, what the two of you said.
Yes, thank you, Maine. I totally agree with Camille and Joven sa mga sinabi nila. Pero ang madadagdag ko lang siguro kasi as a radio announcer and syempre yung station namin, we cover a lot of news and events. We see also what's happening on the ground, lalo na sa grassroots level. Every day, yung mga pinagdadaanan ng mga kababayan natin, their struggles, maliit man yan o malaki. Ayan, and then we see the root of the problem, which is sometimes nakikita natin na it's the inefficiency of our government structures, our institutions. And then you also see that most of our kababayans, they don't have equal access to opportunities for quality education, yung maayos na pamumuhay, hanap buhay, maayos na bahay, tirahan, a safe shelter for their family. So, yung mga basic needs pa lang hindi na natutugunan. So, ang tanong, sino yung dapat na tumulong o maging responsable doon, di ba? I mean, a lot of people say na we are responsible for our own selves because, we are the democratic country. You have the right to choose how you live, how you go about your day. Pero, kailangan din na may strong leadership in every aspect, lahat ng sektor ng lipunan, government man yan, lahat, even the media, even sa institution natin, yung fourth estate, which is the media. So, I totally agree with Joven and Camille, and we are hoping that a lot of things will change in a positive way as we move towards the coming elections.
Yes. Thanks, Karen, for that. No. So you also you mentioned a while ago the fourth estate, which is the media, where you guys belong, the industry you guys are part of. as a part of a media sector, how can your industry, and maybe each one of you, how can you help achieve peace? Because peace, alam natin, and democracy, they go hand in hand. So how can the media sector help achieve peace? It's a very, very deep question and malalim, no? But maybe we can start with Joven.
Unang-una, importanteng masaklawan yung structure na kapag ang mga bansa ay democratic, less likely silang magkakaroon ng conflict. So pinopromote yan globally na maging democratic ang mga bansa kasi historically, pag democratic ang mga bansa, walang giyera. In effect, there's peace. Pero in the classroom level, I think that discourse should always have a synthesis, which means that even if people clash in their ideas, they conflict in terms of their ideas, when the facilitator or the teacher, for example, because I come from the academe, synthesizes, puts together these conflicting ideas, to an extent, that is a form of peace. Secondly, sa amin sa student leadership halimbawa, tinuturuan ng mga estudyante na mag-community immersion or community project bilang requirement ng reaccreditation ng organization nila. So when they go out of their silos or ivory towers, quote unquote, as a leader and help the community, they connect the institution with the community. That connection for me is a form of peace because they help that depressed community to understand what's happening in the society, to have more opportunities. Kasi tama kanina si Karen na yung sinabi niya na democratic na tayo pero hindi inclusive yung growth. Kaya nga sabi nila, nagkakaroon ng decline, nagkakaroon ng pagsikat ang populist governments kasi yung growth, nag-stay din lang siya sa mga economic elite. So kung ang ekonomiya ay talagang makakabuti sa mas nakararaming tao, hindi ko ibibenta yung boto ko eh. Pero dahil sa panahon ng botohan, kailangan ko yung perang ibibigay, pantawid ng gutom, may tendency kang ibenta na lamang siya kasi hindi nag-redown, nag-boil down yung economic growth sa mga mahihirap. So yun yung aking sentiment. Thank you.
Thanks, Joven. Napakaganda. So you really have may trickle down which can be felt, no? That's why yung mga sinabi mo kanina nangyayari in our current situation. Karen, what can you say about that?
All right. For me, as a media practitioner, I think our first responsibility sa publiko is to give them the information and the knowledge that they need, public information para they can form or they can have informed decisions sa pang-araw-araw nila na pamumuhay. And also because of that, it is a really heavy responsibility on our part kasi that's why we train, we go to school, we study so that we also we can also give the right information. Syempre information nga, it's cliche, information is power, but a lot of institutions they use this power, yung kabaligtaran ng information, misinformation, disinformation, para lituhin yung mga tao or to trick them, 'di ba? So it is the media's responsibility to provide the right information na syempre kung mulat yung tao, mulat sila, alam nila yung mga karapatan nila, alam nila what they deserve, what should they receive, yung right nila na ma-receive galing kunyari sa gobyerno natin, sa mga public officials natin, sa mga public institutions. And then so they will have the courage also to fight for that right and that freedom. So because of that, we can also have this balance. We will know that we can achieve peace pagka lahat tayo mulat nagawa natin yung each and every responsibility natin.
Thank you so
Agree
much.
Agree ako dun sa sinabi ni Karen, ano? Kasi, pero for me, tama yun na sobrang powerful ng information and actually this information as what we're seeing now. And for me as a journalist, primarily ang role namin talaga dun sa tanong mo kung paano kami makakatulong sa pag-build ng peace sa community, sa democracy. It's primarily through reporting of truth. Kasi naniniwala talaga ako, narinig ko na to na parang there can be no peace without justice and truth. And kahit na minsan, kasi pag truth, napaka-uncomfortable niyan eh. It brings you discomfort. Kasi yun nga yung totoo eh, yung ayaw mong marinig. And for us journalists, dapat we provide the right context, we provide the real thing na walang As in, kung ano talaga yung totoo. And at the same time, we also have to give people the power to choose the course they want to take through our reporting. And I think primarily we really have to continue publishing and writing stories, especially those that others do not want to be published or na ayaw nilang palabasin kasi doon malalaman ng tao yung totoo. And dahil doon, kaya nga ngayon, di ba, when it comes to martial law, sakto, in the next week,
On the
na parang
21st,
kaya
yes.
walang peace na makuha yung karamihan ng tao kasi walang totoo. I mean, alam mo yun, walang pag-amin sa totoo. So parang for me as a journalist, kailangan talaga doon tayo sa totoo para ano tayo ng kapayapaan.
We need truth, Bale. We all need truth for them to have informed choice and informed decision, and also know to synthesize and to create a discourse and synthesize, and also to immerse with the community in order for us to achieve peace. And yun yung ginagawa nyo or nais yung gawin in your respective industry. All right, next question tayo. This is a very important and very pressing issue ngayon, no? What do you think are the pressing threats to our democracy today, and how will you assess our state of democracy? I know you mentioned a little bit of it, but maybe we could enlighten our audiences more. Let's start with Camille.
Ako talaga, diretsuhan na. It's really President Duterte that's really the threat to democracy because doon nagsisimula yun eh. Parang you are, as the chief executive, you have to make sure that your government, your administration properly implements the Constitution. And if ikaw mismo, you encourage people below you to commit violations to the Constitution, that's very problematic. And we're actually seeing it now. So yun ang tingin ko talaga, like in terms of human rights, in terms of press freedom, freedom of speech, yun talaga, doon nag-uugat yun. And this is not to say na walang problema in the past administration because may similar problema. It's just that kung ano yung mga problema noon, it's been used by the current administration para i-exacerbate yung hold on power and yun nga na eradicate yung democratic space.
Thanks, Camille. Karen.
All right. I-add ko lang no siguro Camille is talking about what we're experiencing now, pero I think also the threat started it really has really deep roots historically sobrang tagal din na nag-build up yung problema. I mean hindi siya magiging ganito ka-worse na ba? Ayan, ka-worse kung yun nga hindi siya nag-build up ano. So it's sabihin natin a series of unfortunate events, and we should be very honest with ourselves then na as a citizen of this country. Kahit papaano meron din tayong responsibility. Isipin natin, meron ba akong hindi nagawa? Meron ba akong nagawa? Ayan, to lead us to this place. We can also blame one person or we can point to one person, but at the same time it's also a collective thing kasi sometimes we allow it to happen. So sometimes that is also the threat, 'di ba? Na pinapabayaan natin, we allow these things to happen. Apathy, wala na tayong pakialam. We just go with the flow, and we just go with the flow because we want to survive. So and then we will just hope for the best. And sometimes a lot of people, kasi dahil nga karamihan sa atin, tinatawag natin masa, every day yung subsistence nila, araw-araw they have to work so that they can eat. So parang ganun na rin yung mindset nila. They have to prioritize their stomach and the survival of their family. So hindi na priority sa kanila yung mga ganitong bagay. So sometimes yung complacency ba ang tawag doon, or yung gano'n na lang siguro na perspective sa buhay ng isang ordinaryong Pilipino na nakakalungkot kasi dumating tayo sa ganitong point na sana hindi naman. So that's my opinion.
Thanks, Karen. How about Joven?
Ako, dalawa yung major threats. One is kasakiman. Ikalawa is disinformation. Kasakiman kasi historically, sinabi nila na ang political elites at economic elites, grabe ang control sa gobyerno. So ang mga economic elites sinusuporta ng isang political dynasty para pag yan ang nanalo, sila yung business nila susuportahan nila. So pag ganoon na what do you call that? Utang na loob yung politiko sa isang supporter, posibleng implement siya ng policies na hindi naman talaga magbe-benefit sa nakararaming tao. So may mga political analysts na nagsasabi yun that the 2016 presidential elections was a protest vote. Protest vote siya kasi historically walang naging inclusive growth. Tapos ang kasamaan lamang, nag-promise nung 2016 si President Duterte pero hindi naman niya na-fulfill. So yung inclusive growth din, medyo hindi mo rin naman siya nararamdaman. Tapos medyo talamak ngayon yung disinformation and allegedly kinoconnect siya sa mga supporters ng kasalukuyang Pangulo. So, threat yung disinformation kasi nagkakaroon ng convolution and pollution yung decision making ng tao na yung posibleng dapat mamuno hindi mananalo kasi nasiraan siya at yung hindi naman karapat-dapat pwedeng manalo kasi nag-disinform ang mga disinformation agents nila para mapabango yung kanyang pangalan. And ang taong gagamit ng disinformation para manalo, sure yan, hindi yan magbibigay ng magandang leadership. Kasi values pa lang may mali na, honesty na lang may mali na. Structurally, may problem din tayo. Like the Ombudsman, the Office of the Ombudsman has some structural problems. They cannot just freeze accounts. They have to go through the court. They have to course it through the Department of Justice. Ang daming mga duplication of efforts. Tapos if you have an executive department that approves the pork barrels, then the checks and balances also is less likely to happen because how can legislators question the executive that approves your pork barrel? And if you have the executive department that also appoints members of the Supreme Court, for example, may tendencies din na posibleng they will not just clash. So yung balance of power, medyo malakas masyado yung executive department. And I think structurally, kailangan may makita at mabago doon sana. Thank you.
Ayun. So, thanks so much, Joven, Camille, and Karen. No? So, these are the opinions ng ating guests. So, we need to do better talaga for our citizens, especially now in the current state that we are experiencing. So, we really need to keep getting better and keep doing better for our citizens. All right. So, next question will be, would you think that yung same ba yung threats in the civic space and media landscape today as to what you express to the threats of democracy today? Let's start with Karen.
I think it's more or less the same. But I just want to siguro concentrate na lang more dun sa experience ko as a media practitioner, ano. Kasi lately, we've been noticing a lot of shifts, ano, dun sa mga threats nga sa democracy and peace. We find it, of course, in social media, sa internet, information talaga. Kasi as a journalist, we also have struggles um, getting facts, getting the right information. 'Di ba, Camille? Ang hirap, ang hirap sa panahon ngayon talaga. Parang
Oo.
ikamamatay mo talaga eh, parang gano'n. So, I think it's the threat is the same, pero ang kalaban talaga rin namin is paano namin paano kami makakakuha ng tamang impormasyon when yung sources mismo, yung legal sources dapat open sila, transparent, they should be open kung ano man yung mga transactions, ano yung mga projects, programs, yung mga ganun, ano. Ang hirap sa ngayon. And then, when you uncover the truth, yan, ibabash ka, you have threats. So, it is also not just yung freedom lang nung bibigyan mo ng information, which is the public. Also kami na ano kami, may threat kami, threat sa buhay, threat sa livelihood namin. And then, but also, syempre, we have to also balance din naman. Titingnan namin kung ano ba yung sinumpaan namin, 'di ba? So we really have to fight for it. Sometimes tooth and nail para lang mailabas namin yung storya na tama, yung sinabi ni Camille na in the right context. And then also yung ano ba 'yun? Unadulterated, wala siyang halo, walang palabok, walang ano, walang mga hindi siya na Photoshop, hindi siya na edit, mga ganon.
Walang
So,
filter.
walang
So
filter. Yes,
very
that's the word yan.
right.
So,
So very
thank
important
you.
talaga, no? Yeah. To foster nga civic space and, talk to the public, inform them, no? I think that's what I'm getting rin naman, no? Despite the fact na ang hirap makakuha ng tamang informasyon, we need to inform the public. I think Camille wants to say something.
Yeah, in addition to what Karen said, kasi parang traditionally naman talaga yung relationship ng media and the government medyo adversary yan eh. Kasi it's also for the benefit of the democracy, di ba? Pero ang nangyari yung sa personal experience, parang ngayon, tanggap mo yon, that's part of the job. Pero para ang nangyayari ngayon, ikaw mismo as a journalist, na-violate na rin yung personal right mo. Dahil ano ka rin naman eh, like for example, I remember nung 2019, nag-cover ako ng PDP laban. Kasi bandang Rappler, so I had to disguise myself, yung parang gano'n, na parang magagalit ka na lang sa una kasi hindi naman porket journalist ako na kalaban ng gobyerno, it doesn't make me less any human being. That doesn't make me any less of a human being. Pilipino pa rin naman ako. So andun yung parang sasagarin ka talaga. Una, tanggap mo na journalist, gobyerno, ganyan. Pero sasagarin ka na pati pagkatao mo, pati pagiging Pilipino mo, aanuhin nila. So yun yung problema. And I think also yung kay Karen, yung dun nga sinabi niya yung sa disinformation talaga, isa pang struggle is yung enough kasi ngayon na, okay, we're all aware that disinformation exists. But yung actual expertise, kahit naming mga journalists on spotting it, parang hirap eh. And medyo malayo siya sa bitukan ng mga tao. So parang, how do we move forward from awareness to actual action? Yun yung nagiging struggle din ng media. Kasi kahit kami, tao lang din naman kami, hindi namin kabisado lahat yan.
All right. Thanks, Camille. Joven.
Yeah, may debate nga kung may diskurso nga ba talagang nangyayari sa social media. At ang kasagutan ay meron, pero hindi pa siya ganun kalalim kasi ang mga sumasama sa diskurso, either they will lambaste, it's a very toxic discourse. Pero may nagsasabi din na bata pa ang social media, hindi ang katulad ng mga legacy media. So pagbigyan natin. So for me, magiging mas sneakier ang approaches ng disinformation agents sa social media, sa civic space na ito. Sneakier kasi may inilabas na pag-aaral si Dr. Jonathan Ong and Jason Cabañez about the architects of network disinformation. At pinakita nila doon na isa na siyang malaking industriya ng disinformation industry or influence industry. At ang recommendation nila ay process-oriented. Huwag lang yung fact-checking sa level ng mga tao or even among journalists. Pero sana may changes in the electoral law. At ang isa sa potential changes ay maging mas transparent ang mga politiko. I-reveal nila kung sino yung mga supporters nila, sino yung campaign managers nila. Kasi sila yung, sa hierarchy, merong mga ilang advertising practitioners na sila yung chief disinformation agent na nagde-disenyo. So hierarchy siya. So sneakier na siya ngayon kasi dati may sikat na taga-kalat ng disinformation. Pero ngayon, ini-slip in na lang siya sa ilang micro-influencer. So halimbawa sa isang influencer na may 50,000 to 100,000 followers, doon sinisingit ng paunti-unti yung either disinformation or pag-promote ng isang politiko. So yun, dapat bantayan yun. Sa amin, sa level ng academe, sa aming kurso na Communication and Society, isa sa isang formative assessment nila talaga ay paggawa ng anti-disinformation campaign project. At ang proseso ng vetting ng multiple sources, etc., tinuturo yan sa mga estudyante namin. At ang hope namin, sana pag labas nila at maging practitioner, gamitin nila ulit yon, maging passion nila na labanan yan, at sana hindi lang siya mag-exist sa silos natin kasi tayo nagkakaintindihan na problema ng disinformation. Pero paano yung mga non-media majors? Sila yung kailangang mako-opt at sana yung circle ng mga estudyante natin, sila yung maturuan nila peer. Total ngayon naman, learning is through or with their peers. So, medyo malaking laban pero hindi pa naman hopeless.
Yeah, just to add,
go ahead. Yeah, Camille.
Kasi while I agree nga na pati yung political system kailangan mabago, pati yung mga laws nga, no? Pero primarily kailangan din talaga, kasi nasa global south tayo eh, parang kahit anong action natin, if walang gawin ng platforms, it will all be futile. Kasi parang nandun na tayo sa mundong yun eh. It's a whole new world. So they also have to do something. And that's the challenge nga rin kasi maliit na bansa lang tayo. And makikita natin to sa 2022 elections if anong actions gagawin ng mga US-based platforms na to. Kasi understandable na sa US, talagang todo ayos sila for dun sa to make sure na yung nangyari noong 2016 hindi na mangyayari noong 2020. Pero sa atin ngayon, parang it still remains to be seen ano yung exact actions nila na gagawin to make sure na hindi na tayo magiging ground zero ng electoral disinformation. So just to drive home the point na okay, gawin natin yung dapat, pero ultimately these multi-billion-dollar platforms also have to act, also have to do something and correct what they've done to society as a whole.
Just to engage in that conversation, currently si Facebook may na siya, may ginagawa na sila. Pero ang kulang na lamang ay i-declare sana yung policy nila, maging mas transparent sa how do they take down a post. Kasi ayaw din natin yung point na pag nag-report ang mga tao at na-take down, na-cancel ang isang Facebook page or isang account, nawawala naman yung diskurso. So dapat maging mas transparent yan para hindi ma-accuse din si Facebook na, uy, may pinapanigan kang political party or perspektibo.
Right.
Si Twitter, so meron din sila, banned ang political advertisements, may mga ganoong nangyayari.
Right. So very important to involve everyone, to let them know ano yung mga facts, no, yung truth for the public and yung civic space pa natin, lalo mas mag-grow at maiwasan nga yung mga ganitong klase ng pangyayari. So you mentioned na this, no, during our discussion, this information on social media. Pero I'd like to ask this question, very specific siya. In the world of social media, it's very easy nga to use the card, yung democracy card and freedom of speech when people are sharing their thoughts. We all see that on Facebook and different social media platforms. But where do we draw the line, especially in a time, yun nga, no, when disinformation is prevalent? Very tricky question. So saan tayo mag-draw ng line? Let's start with Karen.
Yes, Miss Main, actually, yun nga rin yung tinatanong namin. Sobrang hirap,
very
'di ba?
difficult, yes.
Sobrang hirap mong bigyan ng, kumbaga, i-separate mo siya hanggang dito na lang ba? Kasi yung social media, it's compared sa aming mga nasa traditional media, we also have our own, we check our own sources. We have our own checks and balances. Kumbaga, dinidisiplina din namin yung sarili namin. For radio, we have, and broadcast, we have KBP, Kapisanan ng mga Broadcasters sa Pilipinas. So, may nasabi kang hindi maganda, hindi naman maganda, may nasabi kang inappropriate or sabihin na natin hindi dapat on air, nagmura ka on air or something, 'di ba? Or it's something libelous. You also have, aside from the courts na pwede kang kasuhan, ididiscipline ka din nung body na yon. So there's this discipline body na kailangan maging responsable tayo sa mga ibo-broadcast natin, sa mga babasahin natin mga balita at i-share natin. Sa social media, it's so free for all. Yun yung sobrang hirap doon. It's so fluid. It's so open. Anybody can make an account. Anybody can put a name. Paminsan nga it's fictitious, 'di ba? Fictitious name. It's not a real person. Yung picture hindi siya 'yon. Name niya si Sir Joven Castro pero picture ni Brad Pitt yung nakalagay doon, 'di ba? So I mean, sir, you're also as handsome as Brad Pitt, but you're not Brad Pitt, 'di ba, Sir Joven? So it's really misleading. And sometimes when you look at it, it's very sinasadya. Kasi 'di ba, you don't create an account na aksidente na download ko, aksidente biglang na-download ko lang 'tong article na 'to or itong and then what the problem is nga, it's really open. Walang control. There's no restriction, no control. Wala ring talagang batas pa talaga, laws safeguarding privacy, yung mga when you get attacked, when you get cyberbullied, ano ba yung how will you say na cyberbully ka, na-harass ka sa social media, pinagchismisan ka ng isang group dito sa social media, tapos may mga nag-react, is that considered a crime? Yung mga ganun. So it's really hard napaka pa siya. Kumbaga sabi nga ni Sir Joven, baby pa kasi yung social media. And
social media, right.
Oo, tapos tinatry pa natin siya na aralin, kapain, 'di ba? So I think that's one of the struggles and the challenges of social media. It's really hard.
It's still
And
a
also,
struggle
I think,
talaga, no? Medyo difficult. Yeah, Camille.
and also I think, okay, while the lines are blurred, I think the line is still there. Like, for example, for me, if there's inciting to violence, if there's yung pagsira ng, let's say, electoral interference, or pag-promote nun, and then yung mga, nakita naman natin sa US yung nangyari nung January 6, di ba, sa Capitol attack. And nakita natin yung differences na action ng Twitter and ng Facebook. And nakita pa natin yung pag-spiral lalo ng disinformation after the decisions that were made by these platforms. So in that sense, nandun pa rin ako na while we also have to do something, ultimately, dahil these people, these companies, okay, sinasabi nila they're providing us with free platform, pero yun nga yung sinasabi nila na parang when a product is free, the product is you. And ang dami na nilang kinita sa atin from our data, so they really have to do something to protect their citizens. Kasi lahat tayo citizens ng Facebook. While it's very difficult, kailangan nga nandun tayo sa tinanong mo nga, May, na kung ano yung magdodraw ng line. So okay, nagigets namin yan, part of this, part of discourse and everything, pero what about yung promotion ng suicide? What about inciting to violence? So in that sense, for me, dapat doon na nagdodraw ng line. And I really agree with Joven na yun na hindi porket, alam mo yun, na hindi porket hindi mo gusto, para iti-take down mo na. So, kailangan talaga maging clear ang Facebook doon. And pati yung content moderators nila, they really have to be transparent and to take care of these content moderators. Kasi doon, just not to go into the technical side, pero doon nagsa-start din yun. Kasi ito yung mga taong humaharap talaga. So, if you're not treating them properly, if you're not educating them kung paano talaga yung policy mo, baliwala din kung gaano kaganda man yung wording ng policies mo as a platform.
Thanks, Camille. Joven.
Yeah, I agree with Camille and Karen, especially yung lines. Medyo blurred nga, pero there's still a line. For me, freedom is never to do wrong, but freedom is always to do right. So kahit pa you have the right to express yourself, you have to express it with facts. Because if you express yourself, but with disinformation in mind, I don't think that's a form of freedom of expression. It's a form of disinformation. It's a form of deception. Pero for me din, may sociological roots siya kasi reflection din ng kultura natin yung nangyayaring engagement sa social media. At kung babalikan mo, kumusta ba ang scientific thinking, scientific processes sa classroom natin? Yung bang pag-prove ng isang point, kumusta ang science education sa atin? So pag babalikan mo siya, medyo mahina tayo sa aspetong yaan. At kasama sa scientific thinking yung pag-prove ng isang hypothesis mo gamit ang maraming ebidensya. So kung naturuan ng mabuti ang mga tao na pag may sinasabi ka, lakipan mo yan ng ebidensya, and the evidence should come from a community of scholars. Kasi kung tangential siya, ibig sabihin, out of the blue siyang evidence, kailangan pang patunayan yan bilang suporta doon sa point na gusto mong ilahad. So I think part siya ng ating kultura, at siyempre makikita mo din sa diskurso sa social media yung mga pabalbal, yung mga walang naitutulong na diskurso. Although may pag-aaral ngayon na pag-aralan din naman natin yung emotion behind the argument because we're always looking at the rationality. Pero kung may hugot yung post, pwede siyang pag-aralan. So medyo mahaba pang pag-aaral yun, pero nakakalungkot na may toxicity at minsan ayaw mo na lang mag-engage, pero sometimes okay nang may toxicity kaysa sa walang diskurso at all. Ang trend ayon sa Pew Research Institute ay more government regulations ang mangyayari at marami nang ginagawa ang mga gobyerno. Meron na tayong cyber laws, proper implementation na lang, proper education ng mga tao natin. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Joven, Camille, and Karen for that. No, you mentioned kanina, no, at natanong ko kanina na marami ng threat to media and civic space. No, how should institutions like the government help protect the media industry? Let's start with Camille.
I think kailangan lang nila maging open to criticism and not just in word, Kasi yun lang talaga yun eh. Tanggapin na lang na you can't please everyone and you're there kasi binoto ka and utang na loob mo. Hindi utang na loob ng tao sa'yo what you can give to them, but utang na loob mo kung ba't ka nandyan sa tao. It's their money. It's because of them that you're there. So dapat maging open sila. And I think parang chicken and egg yung problema, nahirapan akong sagutin. Parang ang parang ang hirap na in the sense na okay, sasabihin nila pag kampanya na, oh, hindi dapat ganito yung ginawa ng kabila. Pero pag nandun ka na sa power and nalasing ka na sa kapangyarihan, madali namang kalimutan lahat ng pangako mo eh. So I think also the people should speak up. Especially now na parang, ngayon nakikita natin ang dami nang nagsasalita. Pero kasi kung nagsalita na tayo noon pa, naniniwala kasi ako na parang if you don't defend your own rights and if you let the tiny abuses continue, dadating sa point na it's too late na. So ito yung medyo nakikita natin ngayon, pero as a positive human being, hindi pa huli lahat. Parang naniniwala ako na kaya pa guys, laban. Pero yon, we have to speak up talaga. Ngayon lalo sa social media na 1:1. Dati kasi pag traditional media, 'di ba, mas malaki yung weight nung may infrastructure. Pero ngayon, kagaya nga ng sinabi ni Karen, free for all. So we have to use it properly. We have to use it wisely.
You have to speak up. Thanks, Camille. Joven.
So I'll narrow down the government to education sector. So the Department of Education has a big role to play to emphasize the role of civil societies, including the media, in governance. So mag-uumpisa yan sa elementarya pa lamang na ang media, pinanganak talaga yan bilang maging adversarial sa isang democratic na bansa at huwag tayong magalit kung adversarial siya, lalo na kung factual naman yung tin-ferret out niya. Ikalawa, turuan din ang mga bata ng sinasabi ko lagi, yung laymanized democracy. Turuan silang magdiskurso, mag-usap-usap. Hindi yung teacher as the sage on the stage na siya lang yung tama, kundi facilitator siya, co-creation of knowledge ng mga estudyante na part sila ng conversation. Hindi yung umupo kayo ng matuwid, ang di upo ng matuwid, labas. Hindi na pwede yung ganoon kasi sa configuration ng social media, network yan, convergent yan. So dapat nagsasama-sama ka ng ibang perspektibo. Pag naiintindihan ng bata mula elementary hanggang college yung role nila sa diskurso, yung role ng civil society, ipoprotect din nila yung media, nakakampi nila sa democratic practices na yan. Siyempre, may mga questions din sometimes na may mga ilang media practitioners na medyo nebulous, hideous yung operations, pero hindi sila yung media. Maybe there are exceptions to the rule, pero as an institution, all should protect the media because without it, talo ang democracy tayo, talo tayo lahat.
Thanks, Joven. So, kailangan ng diskurso at pangalagaan yung ganong klaseng diskurso. At kailangan maging participative siya. Karen?
Actually, nabanggit na ni Sir Joven tsaka ni Camille, no, yung mga, yung sagot, ano, siguro i-add ko na lang na, tama, start them young, kasi talagang dapat, simulan natin ay educate yung, mga bata na ang, media ay itong institution. It is created to protect the truth and, to protect information so that that information can help them. Lalo na when it comes to decision making, whether sa isang ordinaryong tao hanggang sa pinakamataas na posisyon here in our country. And at the same time, when it comes to balancing siguro, ito lang yung na-notice ko. Sometimes yung traditional media, institutional media and o yung legacy media na nabanggit ni Sir Joven and social media, sometimes we are at odds. Parang sometimes meron tayong friction na nararamdaman. Maganda sana na we should find a balance wherein we can work together. Like what we're doing right now, this is a very, very good program, itong chat up. Ayan, kasi parang nako-combine natin yung power of social media. It can reach so many people from all over the world, di ba? And syempre, yung traditional media, alam naman natin na yun yung limitations ng traditional media. And we are so open to that naman to reach OFWs in Riyadh, in Australia, in Saipan, in Singapore, and also Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao. So napaka-powerful din ng social media. But at the same time also, I'm proud to say because I belong to the traditional media, we are so proud because we work really hard for the content. We research, we really do research. Yan lang yung buhay namin nung nag-journalism kami, 'di ba? And then we find credible information. We fact check. We do our checks and balances. So siguro pag ma-combine yung dalawa rin ito, magiging very powerful, very potent at pwede siyang magamit for good. So siguro yan lang. I think it's a very perfect world nga ba? Pero sabi nga ni Camille, nothing is impossible. There's still hope. So sana mangyari din yun in very very soon. Sana in our
Yes.
lifetime. Ayun.
Hopefully. All right. Thanks so much. We have a question from our audience. No, the question is the easy accessibility of social media an advantage or a disadvantage for the Filipino people in this upcoming 2022 national elections? Let's start with Joven.
For me, it's a non-issue. Hindi issue kung accessible siya or hindi. Kasi technology works depending on how you use it. Ang mas importante ay ang pagturo sa tao sa pag-assess ng pinapublish on social media, kung totoo siya o hindi. Ang pag-validate noong source na yan, titignan sa ibang sources na reputable. Kung nabasa mo yan sa isang website tulad ng, let's say, bloodsuckingsitaw.com, obviously, that's not a credible source. So you have to get it from credible sources. Kasi the access to the social media is your entry point for the discussions. Without that access, talo ka. So ang kailangan tutukan, paano mo ina-assess yung nakikita mo sa social media. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Joven. Camille, you wanna answer?
Yeah,
Okay.
same din na it's a non-issue for me only because it's already there na parang lahat naman ng bagay sa mundo may plus points, 'di ba? And meron ding disadvantages. Pero more than that, I think ang parang to move forward, parang kailangan na lang i-equip yung mga Filipinos, yung mga tao on being social media literate, paano maging critical users of social media and how they process information. Parang nandun na tayo kasi yung social media naman, no doubt, it has given us so many opportunities ngayon. Pero kaakibat nga nun, ang dami rin talagang disadvantages that have already eroded democracy. Pero andyan na yan part of life na yan. So let's just move forward and parang make whoever people is accountable.
Right. Thank you, Camille. Karen.
Yeah, totally agree with both Sir Joven and Camila, no? Nandyan na siya. And I think the more information accessible, the better. Kung anumang platform yan, whether in traditional media or in social media, ibig sabihin, mas marami talaga ang naaabot niyan. Ibig sabihin, mas maraming nai-inform. Now, ang usapin na lang dyan, how to use it because social media is just a tool. It's just a tool. Depende sa tao na gumagamit. Depende sa taong nagbabasa ng balita. Sabi nga ni Sir Joven, it's how you process it. Siguro malulungkot na lang yung mga politiko no, na kasi may pandemya, di sila maka-reach out talaga dun sa mga voting public nila. Yung mga tinatawag natin na voting public nila, yung mga usual na pinupuntahan nila. So they have to adjust, 'di ba? Pero eto nga magiging iba rin yung magiging itsura ng kampanya, and it's really exciting how the campaigning will look with this setup na pandemya. So lahat tayo either naka-granular lockdown yung mga barangay or naka GCQ alert level kung ano man yon. Hindi sila lalabas ng bahay. There's no social gathering. And then there is this social media that's exponentially growing and growing because the pandemic is also contributing to it kasi lahat na naman almost all people, they stay at home, they work from home, they use the internet, and then they have access na to may cellphone na sila, so in the palm of their hands they have this access. So really exciting time. Let's see what will happen lalo na pag nag-start na yung kampanya.
Yeah.
And also, just to add something, kasi we did like an initial study a year before the elections to see, kasi 1 year na lang elections na. And ano bang ginagawa ng mga platforms, like in terms of their policies, to parang to make sure yung integrity ng Philippine elections at next year. So parang nakikita natin na kulang pa. So I guess it's also high time for us users to parang to demand more from the platforms. Alam mo yon na para lang alam nila na maliit man kami bansa, but we all know what happened. Naging sikat tayo dahil sa nangyari sa 2016. So yun, we also have to make them accountable in a way. And just not really accountable if you don't really care, but if you care about the country, more of parang sabihan sila na we're watching. Kasi kulang eh.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks so much. So in relation to my question na kanina that you answered, another question that I'd like to ask you is the 2022 national election is coming up nga, di ba? What's your call to action to our viewers and the people around you when it comes to upholding our democracy? Let's start with Joven.
Ang hirap ah.
Pang Miss Universe ba yung mga tanong? Yeah, Joven.
Ako, maraming lumalaban para sa mga politiko at mga partido, pero sino ang lumalaban para sa bansa? I think that's a question that all of us voters should reflect on and should answer very, very carefully. Bumoto ka para sa bansa. And borrowing Dr. Jesus Stanislaw, there are three things you have to remember. Vision, values, system. Tingnan mo yung leader kung ano yung vision niya, ano yung values niya, at kung may sistema siya sa pamamalakad. The system is very important. Even if you have the vision, even if you have the values, pero pag wala kang sistema, talo ulit ang mamamayan kasi sila yung nahihirapan sa baba. So bumoto base sa mga ganoong perspektibo at lumaban ka naman para sa bansa. After ng election, pwede kang bitawan yan.
Right.
Yung politikong yun. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Joven. Karen?
Actually, maganda yung sagot ni Sir Joven. Dapat yun talaga yung tinitingnan natin, ano. Pero kasi there are a lot of factors like paminsan nagiging popularity contest talaga ang election dito sa Pilipinas, and who has the most charm, sino yung talagang malakas yung dating sa masa, sila yung nililigawan, sila yung nananalo kasi naliligawan nila yung masa, ano. I think ang call to action na dapat hindi lang ng media organization namin pero lahat po ng mga kasamahan namin sa industriya is to help all our countrymen, lahat ng mga kababayan natin, asan man sila ngayon, ano man yung estado nila sa buhay, na isipin nila, no, na dapat hindi lang nila isipin yung sa ngayon, pero isipin din nila yung future ng bansa and then yung future ng mga magiging anak nila at yung mga magiging anak ng mga anak nila. Kasi we are going to lay the foundation. Dapat ganun yung lagi nating i-instill. And as journalists and as media organizations, wag din tayong mag-falter ano man yung challenges na ibato sa atin, gaano kahirap, gaano ka linilito man tayo, we should not waver in our dedication, and of course yung ano rin natin, yung oath natin, para mga doktor na may oath din, feeling doktor. Yung oath natin, hindi lang sa sarili natin pero sa publiko, no, sa bansa, na kasi partners tayo lahat. Yun yung lagi dating iparamdam din, ano, sa ating mga readers, sa ating mga listeners, televiewers natin, na partner nyo kami. You can come to us for the right information. Kung meron kayong mga agam-agam, mga katanungan, you can ask us. You can watch our shows. You can listen to our radio programs kasi yung mga binibigay naming impormasyon about this certain party or this certain politiko, ito yung dapat yung isaalang-alang. So, sabi ko nga, babalik ako doon sa una kong sinabi, information is power. Kung meron tayong maibibigay na ganun sa mga kababayan natin, malaking tulong na yun.
Thanks, Karen. Camille?
Sa akin, parang sinasabi ko lang lagi na wag nang magpabudol in the sense na if it's too good to be true, then it's not true. So wag na magpabudol ulit. You have to be critical talaga. Kasi nakita naman na siguro karamihan sa atin, nakita na yung epekto na parang how a vote can really change people's lives. How a vote can actually kill people. So, yun yung isipin natin na itong boto na to, hindi lang to pang isang araw. Ano to? May epekto to sa buhay mo. And yun nga, kung maganda pakinggan, ako, wag kang paloloko. Magbasa. Wag na magpabudol, guys.
Be informed. Yes. Thanks, Camille. Okay, so before we close and end this discussion, as much as we want to extend this, no, very enriching discussion, we'd like to ask you, no, for your closing message or parting words to our audience tonight. Let's start with Joven.
Hala ko yun na yung parting words. Disinformation is a big threat to democracy, and if you don't act, you will be part of a system that allows dishonesty, deception to rule our country. Any leader who uses this information to win is not a good leader because that already reflects his or her values. I think that we have to choose a leader who reflects good values, universal values, respect for human rights, peace, democracy, respects the balance of power among the branches of the government, a leader who has to create and knows how to create a system. Alam mong leader ka kung marunong kang gumawa ng sistema. Pag mahina ang sistema, indikasyon yan na mahina yung leader. So humanap ka ng leader na ganoon. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Joven. Camille?
Yeah, for me, simple lang. You have to exercise your power to vote. Kasi huwag kayong tatamarin, yun talaga yun. And again, I just wanna repeat, huwag na kayong magpaloko. Huwag na tayong magpaloko. Hindi lang naman, I mean like, it's never too late to change. Tatanggapin naman ng mga tao yung nagkamali noon. Basta, it's not just forgiveness, but you have to do something to change that, to change the course of the nation.
And like what you said, there's hope, right? Right, okay. Karen?
Alright, so first of all, syempre magpapasalamat ako sa Quarantalks, ayan, for this opportunity for, of course, chat up, and of course the US Embassy here in Manila. Thank you for this opportunity. Napakalaking bagay na na pag-uusapan natin yung mga ganitong topics. And sana yung mga nanonood at nakikinig ngayon, ako, si Camille, and si Sir Joven, we were able to inspire you, kung lalo na yung mga gustong mag-journalism or maging media na this is a very honorable profession. Meaning ko hindi ganun kalaki ang sweldo, ayan. But you know what? We make up for it by, of course, kasi passion siya. So, and then going to yung message ko about our topic today, which is, of course, freedom and peace and why we should champion it. I think napakasimple yung napakasimpleng sabihin pero ang hirap gawin. Pero para sa akin, love your country. I mean, it's the only reason why we're fighting for our country is if you love your country, you respect your country. So,
Right.
wag natin siyang pabayaan. In our own little way, anuman yung industry kung nandoon ka, galingan mo, do your best, do the right thing, doktor ka, nurse ka, journalist ka, teacher ka, housewife ka, husband ka, estudyante, do your best at this very moment. Tapos nagbi-build up yan. Kasi you have to love your country. Huwag natin siyang pabayaan. And then, when you have that, you will know what is the right thing to do. Hindi na namin kailangan sabihin sa inyo. Dahil deep inside, alam nyo na kung anong kailangan yung gawin. That's all.
Thanks so much, Karen. And once again, thank you so much, Karen, Camille, and Joven, for sharing your wisdom and experiences with us today. We do appreciate your time, and thank you so much for this very enriching, thought-provoking discussion. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great night. Thank you so much, and I hope you are successful in all your endeavors. Yeah, and continue championing peace and democracy. Thank you so much, Karen, Joven, and Camille. Okay, now that we've gained more insights about peace and democracy, let's get to know some allies in this cause. Today, we are getting to know an organization that champions media literacy in the Philippines. That's here on The Spotlight. All right, so today we're getting to know Out of the Box. Out of the Box, or OOTB, is a non-government organization that works to mainstream media literacy practices in the Philippines through campaigns, workshops, and educational resources for different sectors. OOTB also produces free academic resources for educators and students and develop campaigns for press freedom and democracy, among others. You may download their recent project, the hashtag MIL for Democracy or Media in Information Literacy and Democracy Handbook at ootbmedialiteracy.org/MIL4. That's the number 4, democracy. All right. So the project aims to promote the important link between media and information literacy or MIL and democracy, as well as civic engagement. Topics include civil and digital rights to access, equality, free speech, expression and press freedom, disinformation, polarization, hate speech, surveillance, and cyber threats, among others. The lessons are co-written by the Out of the Box with some alumni of the International Visitor Leadership Program, or IVLP, the premier professional exchange program of the United States Department of State. This was also supported by the Embassy of the United States in the Philippines. For more information, you may visit their website at www.ootbmedialiteracy.org. And that's it for our featured organization this episode. And now that you know who you may work with, if you're interested in this advocacy, in peace and democracy, and I hope you are, what are we going to do next? Let's learn more and make real impact. Find out what's next. All right, coming up are some opportunities that you may grab. First up, tell the next set of elected national leaders what they should prioritize for sustainable development in the country. Join the consultation series to help craft the SDG Youth Agenda, which will be sent to the candidates in the 2022 national elections. On Monday, September 20th, 7 p.m., you'll get a chance to craft the agenda on industries and innovation. On Wednesday, September 22nd, Human Settlements and Sustainable Cities Agenda. And on Friday, September 24th, the consultation for the crafting of the Youth Agenda will be centered on peace, justice, and human rights. Share your voice and help craft this SDG Youth Agenda. Consultation is open to young Filipinos ages 17 to 30 years old. Head on to bit.ly/vote for SDGs consult. That's once again, head on to bit.ly/vote, the number 4 SDGs consult. That's organized by the 2030 Youth Force in the Philippines. Next up, in observance of the International Day of Peace on Tuesday, September 21st, the Global Peace Foundation invites you to the online forum with the title, Shaping Our Future Together. That's 10 a.m. You may sign up through their link. You may see the link on your screen. That will be held via Zoom, but you may also check out their Facebook live stream on that day. All right. Also, here are some opportunities from the American Spaces Philippines. Join the NASA Space Act Challenge on October 2 to 3, 2021. Sign up at bit.ly NASA PH21. Be sure to register by September 23rd. Also closing on September 23rd is the application period for the Philippine Water Challenge. Don't miss that day if you're interested. Another is the GIST Catalyst Pitch Competition. The application period will also close on September 22nd. Go to bit.ly/GIST21. And also don't miss the YCLE Entrepreneurship Seminar from December 29 to December 10. You should apply by September 24th. That's next week. You may do that by checking out bit.ly/YCLE. That's YSEALI24. Also from YCLE, this one closes on Sunday, September 19. Sign up for the YCLE Virtual Regional Workshop with the title Enhancing ASEAN Human Capital in Health. That is happening in January 2022. Visit yclepHAD.org. And lastly, the application for the Kennedy Lugar Youth Exchange and Study Program 2022 to 2023 is now open. Apply by October 22nd, 2021, 5 p.m. For more details, head on to www.afs.ph/YES-program. Again, that's www.afs.ph/yes program. Whew, that was a lot. That's a lot of opportunities for you guys if you want to check them out. So please be sure to check those out. You may rewatch our program if you want to revisit some of those links for such exciting opportunities. All right, and that's it, chatmates. Thank you for joining us today. If you found our chat informative or at least thought-provoking or interesting at the very least, then share our live stream so more people can join and watch us and join us in our chat. You may use our hashtags, hashtag chat up and hashtag real talk, real impact. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Quarantalk Media, and follow us on Facebook for more updates and exciting programs. You may find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Quarantalk Media. And we're also on Twitter with the handle hashtag Quarantalk Media. There. I am Germaine de Ruña. Connect with me online through my different Facebook, through my different social media channels. Twitter, you may check me out with my handle at Germaine J. De Runa. For Instagram, it's at Germaine Jalandoni De Runa. And for Facebook, it's Germaine Jalandoni De Runa. All right. Join me again in the next couple of weeks for another talk, Real Talk, here on hashtag Chat Up. Real Talk, Real Impact. Happy weekend, everyone.